Hey, good morning, guys. So it feels really weird doing a video, but it's the only way I figured I could get it out, um, like in a simplified way, because there is so much to this that I've just got so much, and I might have to do a couple of different videos just so I don't like drag everybody out, and I don't want it to be like a super long video, so I'm gonna try and keep it under 20 minutes, and I'm also at work, so I'm going to try and go through it as quick as I can and the most simplified way. And I kind of broke it down. There's a lot of psychology that goes into this research, and you're going to have people from all spectrums that have different things, different conclusions and disagreements and things like that. So what I've done is I've pulled together everything that I've learned from some of the world's top scientists, top physicists, top psychologists, geologists, and astrologers. I mean, all of these people. And some of them, I can't pronounce their names. They're I can't pronounce their names, and so it was super hard to research them on their name. So I had to kind of take secondhand information, but the secondhand information that I actually wrote down and put into all of this research is very, very credible. And I have resources. The first day, I really kicking myself in the butt because I didn't write down all of my resources. I only started doing that the second day. So if you could just show me grace on that. So the first thing I'm going to start with is the things that everybody agrees on. And I'm in my car because I'm kind of hiding out from my boss. So all physicists, astrologers, biologists, world scientists, astrologers, absolutely the greatest, smartest minds in the world, from all over the world, they came up with these things. This is what I've been able to conclude. So I'm going to start with what everybody agrees on. Going back through all of creation and all of the stars, all of the astrology and how the earth was created, how humans were created, and things like that. I'm going to give a secular view, because most of the people, even though my thinking and my personal beliefs are biblical, I'm coming at you from a secular point of view because I always like to start with that because not everybody has a biblical mindset, but I'm gonna show you how it all ties in together. So anyway, let's start with this. So, and I'm gonna try and stay focused. I know I'm a little bit all over the place, but I got a hair in my eye, so let me get that out real quick. Okay, so all physicists and all astrologers, biologists, scientists from all over the world, everything that I've listened to, I've spent well over 30 hours on this. They can conclude let me make sure that's not my boss. They can conclude that something created humans and non-physical beings. So everybody agrees that we have something that created us. And long story short, Darwinism, there is a lot of truth to Darwinism. However, the conclusion of Darwinism is incomplete. So the theory of evolution is actually an incompleted study. In fact, many are saying that it started out as some truthful experiments and science and studies and research and things like that. However, went down wormholes, which we're going to talk about. And a lot of this has to do with psychology. 99% of it has to do with psychology. It's all the mind, okay? Which we're all going to pull that together too. I mean, it pulls together everything that we learn, how we judge, how we make our decisions and things like that. It just pulls everything together. So they all agree that something created us, okay? We didn't. In the Big Bang Theory, I'm going to explain here in a little bit. There is the theory that they have that we all came from nothing, and evolved and all this kind of stuff is hogwash, really. But there is an explanation for it. So they started out on the right path to discovery, but they got lost in the deception of information. And that's the thing. We have to learn to what we want to believe, and that we use our individuality to decide what we want to believe and what we don't. So the second thing that all agree, that Earth in itself was created for the humans, for the physical, not the non-physical. Okay, so and what I wrote down was Earth was created for the humans, and the fight to be in the physical realm is dated all the way back to the beginning of man, which was Adam and Eve. Okay, so C, the Earth has natural wormholes. In just basic information, the wormholes of the earth are like the natural changing of the seasons, the things that happen naturally, the rain and the sun and different seasons, the spring, winter, fall, and summer and all that. So D, what they all concluded, and this gets a little bit deeper, and we're going to get more into this, but it gets very, very deep, guys, and I really hope that I do a good job at pulling it all together for you. It to me, it all makes sense, but I retain a lot of information. So D, whoever is behind the wicked, okay, because we know that we have good and we have evil, obviously. Okay, well, we're going to go into that, and we're going to go into the birth of evil and good and all that kind of stuff. So they all agree that whoever is behind the wicked, the witchcraft, and the occult is definitely behind all residual UFO and ET encounters, okay? All agree that the non-physical are not kind to humans. That is, and I'm not talking about, I'll put a biblical perspective on it later, but it does get very biblical. What we're talking about is basically, we can go back to Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley practiced black magic, and his group, he had a group, and one man, I believe his name was John, I want to say John D. or something like that. I have it written down, but I was unable to find it during this. But Aleister Crowley's followers, they would all practice black magic for hours and hours a day. They would meditate, and this one man, John D., wrote in his diary that the beings that they summoned were not kind. His exact words were, "They were not our friends." So, and that was language even back then, back in those days. What was the 20s or 30s, 1920s, 1930s? Okay, so and that was our worldly, that we were just starting to come in to know that the extraterrestrials, and still all of it was hidden, okay? So all agree that they cannot pass through the atmosphere unless they are invited, okay? So none of them, they are also made, I'll get into that in a minute, okay? So they can't pass through unless they are invited. So how would we invite them? Right? Well, they come through the natural wormholes. So there would have to be some kind of invitation. Well, if I used Aleister Crowley, I would say that their group and their following, his following, they would sit around and manifest, and they would do black magic, and they would manifest things, okay? We know that Barbara Bush is Aleister Crowley's daughter. It has been proven. I know you can't hardly find anything on Google, but it has been proven that Barbara Bush is in fact Aleister Crowley's daughter. She's the bastard daughter. She's illegitimate, but she was part of a lot of these occult rituals even back then. So, and it plays into this whole alien theory thing, okay? So, in F, all agree that there is clear evidence of non-physical reality and its interdimensional phenomena working through all dimensions, okay? So, and they all agree on good and evil. There's two spectrums of it. All agree on good and evil. So, in the interdimensional realm phenomenon, okay, we're going to use Roswell, New Mexico as an example. What happened in Roswell? Well, we know that something happened. There's real evidence that something happened. However, there is no real evidence. There was no spaceship or anything like that found, okay? So that kind of, there's, again, it's one of those psychology things where we are dealing with things in the non-physical, okay? And the non-physical cannot leave physical evidence, even though there was a hole in the ground, things like that. All of the evidence that something happened in Roswell, there was no real evidence of what it was. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So we know that something happened. It's very real and physical that something happened, but the physical reality was non-physical. So therefore, it's a non-physical reality. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It makes sense to me, but I'm sorry if it don't. I don't know how to pull it all together. So I went through all of my sources, ancient alien stuff. I went through all the operations, CIA operations, Project Blue Book, things like that. Wikipedia, secular scientists. I started with secular scientists because I really like their view, even though they're not biblical a lot of the time. They help prove biblical understanding. They really do, whether they believe it or not. Vatican astronomers. Vatican astronomers were extremely intelligent and very telling about a lot of things. So God created our creator. So we have a creator. We can all agree on that. So, and we call him God. So God created two types of beings, okay, or our creator created two types of beings in creation. He created two types of intelligent beings, okay, the humans, which we are real, physical, and then the angelic, which is real and non-physical, okay. So our bodies and us, we obey the laws of physics, okay, but the angelic, they violate the laws of physics, okay? Just like aliens in the spaceship, right? If a spaceship come flying through, we can see lights in the sky and we accuse it of being aliens, or we claim that we see UFOs and things like that. But we can't physically do that. We have to have spacecraft and things like this of protection because we are physical, and the particles in outer space, we would not survive that, okay? Because we're not meant for outer space. We're meant from Earth, all right? And so we cannot... the physical cannot withstand the velocity of light, whereas the non-physical, the velocity of light is totally ineffective to them. If they were physical when they came into the natural realm from the physical realm, from the spiritual realm, if they came through from the outer space into our atmosphere, the human atmosphere, okay, there would not be a sonic boom or any kind of sign of friction, the heat of friction, because you have to come through fast, right? So there would be no, not affected by heat whatsoever, okay? But we are. See, we have to have pressurized airplanes. Our airplanes can only go so high, our rockets and all this kind of stuff. So we have all of the scientific information. So humans, we are driven by consciousness, and we have influence. And our consciousness influences the way that we have make decisions, okay? The angelic, now we do know that there are both good and evil angelic, okay? And we'll know that. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But they are also the influencer. So you can have two different types of that. You can have good, or you can have the evil, okay? And the good, you don't summons, all right? When you summons and meditate and manifest, it's never good. So you're pulling something out of the physical that you're unaware of. So we're really inviting things. So, and we are... So we are driven by consciousness and influenced by both the non-physical and the physical, but we have free will to make that decision. Free will gifts us with with different spiritual capabilities, okay? Like we all think differently. We all have different talents, and we all can work together and build something great and beautiful out of everything that all the different talents that we are given. Okay, the power is given by the Creator, and I'm gonna break this down. I'm only gonna talk about the fallen angels first, because before creation of man, here I go with the Big Bang Theory. Okay, the Big Bang Theory was, in short, you can go back and listen to a lot of things, and you can get different perspectives, but I'm gonna bring it to you after spending over 30 hours on this. The Big Bang Theory absolutely does not make sense. The only way the Big Bang Theory makes sense, and I'm going to go ahead and say, in my opinion, that. And this is listening to all different kinds of scientists and all this. I've listened to all these guys. So what I've concluded from listening to all of them, some of it immaterial information, sounded really good but completely immaterial and never made sense, but it sounded so intelligent. You really got to watch out for that. That's a big thing, and I really have to use my discernment with that. So the thing, I'm going to talk about the fallen angels only, okay? We do have God's angels, okay, or our creators, angelic, for the humans, but a third of them that have fallen away from the creator were put here on earth, okay, and their sole agenda is to destroy mankind, okay, because we have everything that they want, but both angelic aliens and humans, the physical and the non-physical, both have free will, okay, they both have free will. So, there were 4 groups of 3 each with different kinds of capabilities, but they were all working together against mankind, humans of flesh and blood. Okay, so that being said, one of the articles that we had in our group was talking about 10 different kinds of aliens, and I read all the different kinds, and it made a lot of sense, though some of it was a bit immaterial, and I think that some of those characteristics or some of the different ones could be fit in to the 4 different groups, okay? So you have 4 different groups with 3 each having different capabilities. And in the Creator's kingdom, okay, and he has angels that all have different jobs also. So when he created all the angels before the fall of the third of the angels, and Lucifer, okay, he was named by name, the son of morning, he, before all that, where was I going with that? Oh my God, I don't want to lose myself. Okay, so before all of that, they had everything was fine, okay, but then they had the fall, right? And then after the fall, a third of the angels came down. So you have God's angels, which can entertain humans. It says in Hebrews 13:2, be not forgetful to entertain strangers, therefore some have entertained angels unaware. So we've had encounters with beautiful people, right, that we've never saw again, just people that have come in and just simply in the smallest ways just made our day or gave us a compliment or something like that, and you never see them again. Or somebody that has taught you something, you never see them again. There are small things like that. However, the majority, back to the Big Bang Theory, when the fall happened, okay, with Lucifer and a third of his angels who all had free will, that's why a third of his angels fell with him, okay? That was the Big Bang Theory explained in short, basically. There was a cosmic warfare. It was very, very cosmic, and it was very, very crazy. It was huge. It was massive, and it impacted everything, okay? But the earth wasn't created yet, see? So in creation, we're going to get down to that, okay? But the earth, even scientists also agree with that, okay? I know we have flat earthers and stuff like that, and I know some of the flat earthers have biblical scripture to back up their theories, and it's all great and stuff like that. I'm not on that plane of things. I'm just not. So let me make sure I got all of that. So the Big Bang Theory explained, Darwinism explained the 2 types of intelligent beings, driven by consciousness, and then we have to understand that there is physical and there is non-physical, and that's what we're dealing with. Okay, so I was listening to Hugh Ross. He was one of the major ones in his group, and most of the people in his group that I listened to, the people that he's worked with, I cannot pronounce their names, but this is what they had to talk about. Close the doors to the occult activity and the encounters will stop. The reversal of that is also true. Opening up the occult causes more encounters. So we're trying to explain all of these alien encounters, right? Well, a group of secular scientists, physicists, and astrologers visited Soviet Russia during a time when Russian scientists were heavily in the occult. And when we talk about the occult, we're dating back to ancient beliefs. We're secret societies. That's how secret societies, Skull and Bones, Freemasons, stonemasons, all of these things, okay? All of these different things, okay? So they were heavily in the occult, which is why Russia is the country that experiences more UFOs and more extraterrestrial encounters than any other country in the world. Okay, so I can understand Putin not wanting to be a globalist. Like, that really makes sense to me. If this is going on in Russia and you've got this occult activity, you can probably bet that Putin I don't think that he's what everybody thinks he is. Like, he's this, yeah, I would say he's a little bit communist, but, or pretty communist, but I think that Putin really cares about his country. He cares about his fellow men. And if this is going on in his country so heavily for as long as he's been president, and we're talking about Putin alone, not even talking about presidents before him, you would want to do something about it, right? You would really, really want to do something about it. So here's, I'm going to get in trouble. So I'm going to keep going. Okay, so I can imagine Putin's position as president, okay, especially being the communist president that he is. He would want this to stop, okay, at some point. So alien abduction. There is actually no physical abduction. Even though the body may have moved or will move or something like that, there is no actual abduction of the body. The body does not go anywhere. However, if the body is walking, like there was one story about an abductee who was walking in the woods, his friend, it was like in Georgia, I think it was this big deal. And this is our time. This is, within the last 100 years. So, anyway, he was walking through the woods. Well, I think nobody ever found him. And then they found him in a photo booth, curled up, naked. And he called home. And he wasn't talking. He was only mumbling. Well, when I read about that abductee and everything about him, I can imagine if okay, alien abduction, there is no physical abduction. However, there's an abduction of consciousness, complete control over your mind, thoughts, and actions. Abductees are typically very close to occult communications. So these abductees, even though they think that they went up into a spaceship or something like that, that's actually very false. It's all in the mind. It's psychological. Okay, so they have a way of coming through, which 5G is going to play into this in just a minute. 5G is actually protecting us. Long story short, but I'll get into that probably in the next video. Let me finish this up. So the thoughts and actions of the abductee are all in the mind. It's psychological. So everything that happens to them, evil happens to them in the consciousness. And when I listened to the interview from that gentleman the other day, I'm sorry, his name is slipping my mind right this second. But when I listened to his interview the other day, everything that he was talking about, something happened to that man. Something definitely happened to that man. And so everything that he described, and when he said he felt his grandfather pulling for him, I don't think he was going up in the air, like physically. Okay, we're talking about the physical and the non-physical invading the physical. Okay, so it's really pretty wild. So your conscious can be removed from your body, which I don't think the Creator likes that at all. I don't think he likes that at all. So, another word for aliens is, you got two different words. You got angelic and then demons. Both having the same meaning. However, when we think the word angelic and angels and stuff, we typically think good, right? Beauty, safety, things like that. I've got guardian angels and things like that, which is absolutely true. However, there is that other side of that. In Galatians 5:17, I think, talks about to walk in the Spirit is to know the spirit realm. Okay, and I think that getting into all of this alien stuff is definitely knowing the spirit realm. I went down here, the Big Bang Theory explained in short. It was angelic warfare. The reality is the physical appearance was there. We know something happened. Obviously, the earth is here. We've got plants. Something happened, but there's no physical evidence. So there's no physical evidence of the Big Bang or Darwinism. There is only speculation. However, we go down to, which I kind of broke this up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw in, before I start the next video, I'm going to go ahead and throw in a couple of Q references that I threw in at the end of all of this. So there were some things that Q has always said. This is a fight for mankind. This is a fight for the human race. We are the saviors of mankind, which I always thought was biblically out of line for Q to say. Because, well, the savior of mankind is Jesus Christ. I mean, he's the one that's known for that, okay? And good versus evil. So we know through Q and all this that this is what we're dealing with, okay? So when we come down to aliens, let's go ahead and just get rid of the word alien, because alien by definition is anything foreign, so something not normal or something different, okay? So we're going to use words like angelic and demons, because that's exactly what they are. They're not our friends. They're not our friends. And so there's a lot to this. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this video since I got the basics out of the way. I hope I pulled that together for you guys. I hope y'all are understanding me well. I have all the notes. I could send you pictures of all the notes, but I don't even think you'd get that. But I do the German Bell, Ancient Aliens, Project Blue Book, the Battle of Los Angeles, the Book of Enoch, Wizards and Warlocks, Vatican Astronomers, Sources, The Light in the Sky, and Little Green Men by Hugh Ross, Wikipedia, CIA.gov, classified and unclassified, secular world science, world physicists, and world astrologers. Those are my sources. So there's all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. I want to make sure I don't have anything else left in this side of things. Okay, so here, I'm gonna end this with one more thing. So we, humans, we are given certain things. We are given certain spirits, okay? And then I'm going to go into the other spirits, which definitely involves the occult. It involves aliens, angelic, demons. So the 7 spirits that we were all, every single human alive was gifted with these 7 spirits. And 7 is the number of completion. Okay, 6 is the number of incomplete, 7 is the number of completion, and 9 is the number of judgment. It means judgment. So just keep those things in mind for future reference. So we got number 1, which is the Spirit of the Lord, our Creator. Okay, number 2 is the Spirit of Wisdom, our mind. Number 3 is the Spirit of Understanding, our discernment. Number 4 is the Spirit of Counsel. That's each other, being able to determine what is right and wrong and counsel one another, being there for one another. Number 5 is the Spirit of Might. We all have that fighting spirit, and I think that's the beautiful thing about America, and I think that's why God continues to bless all countries. All countries is because of our fighting spirit, because we're mighty, and we love doing what's right. We want to always do what's right, not only for ourselves, but for everyone. And then we have the spirit, number 6 is the Spirit of Knowledge, is having the knowledge. And number 7 is the Spirit of the Lord. Spirit of the Lord is number 1. Number 7 is the Spirit of Fear of the Lord. Fear of the Lord is the first acknowledgement of creation, so or of your Creator, and that's the beautiful beginning into creation in itself, and humans and our capabilities. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this video, but I'm gonna start again on another one just so I don't bore everybody, and you can watch this at your leisure. And if you have any questions about this first video, please let me know. If you want to put questions down on the video on YouTube, you're more than welcome. Or if you want to keep it in our group, that's cool too. However you see fit, and I'm going to go ahead and get some more into this. I will close with this. What we think is flying saucers, or spacecraft, little green men, grays, or anything like that. Those are all different species within the 4 groups. Remember, I mentioned the 4 groups. So those are all different species within the 4 groups, much like the world, back in BC. The world was full with all different kinds, right? Well, we have different species, but we have 4 different groups of species of people, okay? And I'll break those down in the next video. That's everything. I really go off on every little thing, which we can say that it's wormholes, okay? And which is a lot of our scientists do. We go off on all these wormholes and research everything and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, yeah, there's just so much. I still have a lot to go through. So I'm going to stop this one and I'm going to start the next one.